This is a clip from an earlier live stream. I know you're going to like it, so the link to the full video is down below. Check it out. I'll see you over there.
Another example of things that are inexplicable and maybe somehow related to deja vu, the story of how I met my husband. I've told it many times, how I got engaged 18 days later. No one believes me. They don't want to accept it, except maybe Charlie Kirk, because he was there for it. But I already knew George. That's how I describe it. I saw his face. I know.
Hold on. I'm going to have to run this back. You know, I think the way that she met her husband is very, very interesting. Let me run this back. This is very interesting because I don't think I've ever heard her tell it on her show. I've heard her say it elsewhere. So I'm going to have to add this to my video series on her story of how they met. Let me hear what she says. Let's go.
And they don't want that. Deja vu is probably chief among them. We all have experienced deja vu. We are certain something happened, that we already did that, but it didn't actually happen. You're like, but I feel like it did. Oof, I just got a bad case of deja vu. Well, guess what? There's no official expert explanation for that. Sleep paralysis, for those of us who suffer that, I had some terrifying experiences before I knew what it was. They don't really give us a full explanation for that. Similar, also, another example of things that are inexplicable and maybe somehow related to deja vu, the story of how I met my husband. I've told it many times, how I got engaged 18 days later. No one believes me. They don't want to accept it, except maybe Charlie Kirk, because he was there for it. But I already knew George. That's how I describe it. I saw his face. I know that doesn't make sense, but it happened that way. I looked at my husband's face and I already knew him. It was like a sigh of relief. And there's other explicable events and things.
Okay. I truly believe that Candace meeting her husband, I do believe that there's a lot of nefariousness with Candace in meeting her husband. There's just a lot of stuff. And I've talked about it a little bit. I don't want to, because I feel like that's a tinfoil hat. I could put my little tinfoil hat on and get into some conspiracies. But just something to think about. Just something for you to ponder about why her story about how she met her husband, she had never seen him before, allegedly, doesn't make sense. Candace at that point was the director of communication for TPUSA. That would mean pretty clearly that she had communication or a means of communication or means of outreach to pretty much everybody in the TPUSA network at that time. Her husband, George, was either, I've heard two different stories. He was either a big donor for TPUK or he was the head of TPUK. Either one of those, his name would have been on her radar. Am I to believe that she knew nothing about George at all? She didn't know the biggest donor in TPUK or the head of TPUK? She didn't know that person? So when she saw him, she just saw a random stranger? That's what I'm supposed to believe? Okay. All right. He was okay. But if he was a chairman, somehow or another, right. She knew these things about him, though. That's what I want to get to. I'm not 100% certain what his role was at TPUK. Let me say it like this. He was not a pencil pusher at TPUK. He was much more important than just, I'm just a random dude walking around, looking around, don't nobody know who I am. No, that's not the case at all. And for her to tell that story like she does, and remember where she was in bad financial straits. This is right on the tail end of getting sued by that landlord in New York about not paying her rent in that apartment. That was right on the tail end of that. And all of a sudden she gets engaged and gets married. I'm not saying it's weird. I'm just saying that's okay. Okay, that's interesting. It just seems a little bit interesting. Let's bring her back in, Jason. And by the way, y'all, this game is not going well for me. I'm gonna have to pull some shenanigans, y'all, because I'm not winning at my bingo game, and I don't like that. Let's go.
Things like Charlie telling me that he was going to die young. Anyway, today we are going to be showing you clips from a YouTube channel called Be Inspired. We're going to link it in the comments as well because they did such a fantastic job of diving into these phenomena and how they likely relate to another shady government CIA program, which came to be known as Project Looking Glass. This actually happened. These were whistleblowers that came out, like with all of these projects, people that are in the military, scientists coming out and saying, hey, government has this technology and they can peer into the future. I'm sorry, what? What does that mean? Anyways, the narrator of this channel,
The fact that she tries to pretend like she doesn't believe what she just said, she's gonna get an award. When you all tell me which award show she needs to be a winner for, we're gonna give her an award. Because she's like, what do you mean? Ma'am, you believe this. You believe that. Stop it. You believe somebody can look into the future using some kind of technology. Ma'am, stop it. You believe that. Quit it. This is crazy.
I could not find his name to save my life because there's multiple people that work this channel. But he begins by taking us back to the Y2K scare. You guys remember that? Of course, you remember the Y2K scare. I was actually scared. I was young. I was like, oh my gosh, I just don't want to die like this. I don't want to die just because it's midnight and it's the year 2000 and they were just kind of pumping all this fear into us. Anyway, let's jump right into this clip.
Let's start with Y2K. In the final months of 1999, there was a global concern that computer systems would fail when the date switched to the year 2000. All the software used only 2 digits to record years, so 2 nils might be read as 1900, potentially disrupting banks,
Credit cards and ATMs may cease to function.
power grids, airlines,
Airplanes and trains may come to a halt.
governments and corporations spent over $300 billion updating systems. It was one of the largest coordinated tech efforts in history. People stocked food, withdrew cash, and prepared for the worst. But when midnight came, almost nothing happened. The systems held, the world moved on. Still, that global moment left an imprint. Some view it as a psychological turning point, the end of the analog age and the quiet beginning of a fully digital world. From that point on, life accelerated. Culture, communication, and consciousness shifted onto screens, fast, constant, and increasingly disconnected from physical time. Some researchers believe
Okay, see, that's exactly what the problem is. Instead of just saying, you know what, Y2K was a gut check for a lot of us. A lot of people, you know what, personally, I did have some money. I don't remember how old I was then. I was like 26, 27-ish. So I had some cash set aside, sure. I was ready just in case things went south. Yeah, but that was about it. I mean, it wasn't anything crazy. And if we didn't stockpile food, I just knew like, hey, if I don't have any, it's just going to be what it is. I just wasn't going to do that, all that, because I didn't think it was going to be that bad. And it wasn't. It wasn't. There's a couple glitches, and I don't even remember what they were. But to make it like something way more than what it needs to be, I think that's where when you're trying to, for lack of a better term, spiritualize something that doesn't need to be spiritual. It was just, we in society tried to understand when you go from double digits to 4 digits on the computer system, how that's going to work. It doesn't need to be super spiritual. You don't have to make it something more than it needs to be. It's just like, you know what? That's what happened. But see, and now he's about to spiritualize it, and that's where I think the problem was.
Y2K wasn't about a bug at all, but a kind of global psychological reset, a ritual of fear, distraction, and silence. The code may not have crashed, but something else may have been triggered, our perception of time and reality. After something strange started happening online, people began noticing memories that didn't match reality. The most famous? The Berenstain Bears. Millions remember it as Berenstain with an E, but every book says Berenstain with an A, and that's just the beginning.
If you're running a simulation.
All right. Oh gosh. Okay. I kind of know where he's going with this. There's tons of these. I think they call it the Mandela effect, or some people call it the butterfly effect. There's a whole bunch of different things like this where they just started spelling things or doing things differently than the way they were, than most people remember them. And it's okay. Now, I hate to say it's okay, but it's okay. I know you liked that episode. This is actually a clip from a larger live stream. The link is down in the description, so you can go check it out. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you down there. Grace and peace.